You ain't seen nothing yet, Sonny. Let me, that's quality. You hear that? That's a rattle trap. They made them sloppy like that. It's because they're so reliable. What the hell even is that? Who, me? Yeah, it's super cool, right? So it's an Ithaca gun company, 1911 A1, so it was actually military issued. Yeah, I actually did a FOIA act on it. It was issued and it looked like it made it all the way through World War II, Vietnam, all the way into my hands. Like, how cool is that? So it started as this Ithaca, but some crazy lunatic in the 70s, he actually chromed it. I think it was nickel, actually. Nickel plated it probably like his Cobra 25 ACP. Hilarious. But I wanted to restore it back to working in perfect working order in the original finish, but because he had nickel plated it, oh my God, I couldn't even reparkerize it, changed the whole metal of it, no idea. So I said, to heck with it, it'll never be original again. Some goofy boomer ruined it. Just like they sporterized everything. Like they sporterized everything. You guys wrote the book on it. So I said, heck, it's a Lion Claw Tactical North Sea machine, and they cut it for an RMR. They welded this pick rail on it so I can get a weapon mounted light. And then I said, heck, boys, let's port it. So they ported those crazy sons of guns. Yeah, they put 6 ports in this thing. This thing shoots like...
Don't let that nice young couple from down the road get the house for anything less than asking. Sell it to BlackRock for $4 million over asking.
As the boomer's greed got you down, King's Sass has got your back. Guys, we now get 10% off at Badlands Munition Company. They have 9mm for training, 9mm self-defense. They've got Jello shots that are competition ammo. Buttery smooth. They've got 5.56 match, plinking, self-defense, you name it, they have it. Guys, with code 110SASS, you get 10% off your entire order. You gotta go check them out. You know, guys, it ain't much, but it is honest work, making sure that we secure our social security. JD's and Ledwell, welcome back to the show, and thank you for tuning in. Guys, we are approaching 1 million subscribers here. We're very, very close, just under 940,000 as of right now. So we're going to be there in a couple months. So what I need from you guys is to continue the support, the likes, the sharing, the comments for the algorithm, YouTube gods, and making sure you guys hit that subscribe button and sign up for those notifications, because once we hit 1 million subscribers, guys, there's going to be some massive giveaways, and it's not going to be anything small. It's going to be huge. So, Jay's Lemon, let's talk about this cursed build. A World War II Resto-mod ready for World War III. An original U.S. Army issue, World War II, 1911 A1 Ithaca Gun Company. Guys, this has been so much fun. This is such a sweet build, and I've had so much fun shooting this thing, and it's becoming my daily. This is becoming my daily. I'm having so much fun with this gun. So you're probably asking yourself, what's wrong with you, bro? Like, now hang on, hear me out, hear me out. There's a story behind this, and it's gonna make sense in a second. But yeah, you're probably right to ask yourself, what's wrong with this guy? You know, I don't know. Maybe I was dropped in my head, I don't know. Maybe I was dropped on my head as a child. Maybe it's just my certain brand of tism. We got a risen with a tism, baby. Somebody has to secure our social security, okay? So if that means giving the boomers a heart attack, well, that's what we got to do, friends. No, seriously. So I started off with this gun, and it came from an individual that I picked it up for $300. Now, this is the condition that I got it in. Yes, that is nickel plated. And it was a terrible job. It was a terrible job. I'm assuming sometime in the 70s or 80s, whoever had this gun was like, you know what would be great if we ruined the original finish on this firearm and nickel plated it to match my, I don't know, Cobra 25 ACP pistol? Like, oh, okay, that's cool. That's great. Thanks, boomers. We appreciate you writing the book on sporterizing and ruining these guns. You might think that I ruined this gun, but hear me out. So originally, this gun was destined to be restored. I was going to restore it back to perfect factory setting the best I possibly could. So I stripped off all that nickel plating on there and went and dropped it in a park tank to reparkerize it to get the original finishes on it. But it turns out that the nickel plating that they had done way back in the day had changed the metal, had changed the metallurgy of the actual metal itself, and it simply wouldn't take a repark. So I tried to do it myself, and I thought, oh, I messed it up for sure. So I reached out to the professionals. They were like, yeah, it's just going to be really, really difficult. It's just never going to be a very good finish after that. So frustrated, I was like, well, it's never going to be original again. It's awful the way it was before, and now it's stripped bare. I was like, well, maybe I'll blue it, but that wouldn't be original. It's like, well, what if we turn it into a Resto-mod? And that's where we are here today. So let's talk about this build first. First of all, I sent this off to Lion Claw Tactical and North Sea Machine. Those dudes did a fantastic job on this firearm. They did a phenomenal job on this firearm. I'm so impressed by their work. To be honest with you, I wasn't too sure how this was going to turn out because, again, it was a pile of parts after I'd stripped it, and I kind of just wrote off my losses. I was like, yeah, well, I'll just, I don't know, maybe sell the slide, sell the frame or something like that. But I was really frustrated with it. I was like, well, if you guys can make this thing actually cool again and make it, I don't know, a relevant firearm and get it to somewhat looking factory, that would be great. So they were like, well, if it can't take a park, we can Cerakote it. So yeah, this is a Cerakote job that they did on this firearm. They matched like an original parkerized finish of a World War II 1911 A1 with Cerakote, and it turned out phenomenal. It's the perfect color. It's the right texture on it. It's not like the super shiny, super smooth. They added a little bit of texture into it to make it seem just like a real parkerized job. So that part, just phenomenal. And then I was like, you know what? This gun is never going to be original again. I'm never going to be able to get it reparked the way it was. Somebody already ruined it in the 70s or 80s. Why don't we just have a ton of fun with this thing, man? Let's take this thing and just make it like a modern combat pistol. So we're like, okay, well, we got to get a red dot sight on it. So North Sea Machine did the work on that, and they did a phenomenal job cutting this firearm. That's all they do. They do tons of machining, ports, welded this light rail on it, and did the RMR cut. So let's start with the RMR cut. Yes, we cut this 1944 Ithaca Gun Company and put it on there. We got the optic plate for it. This optic plate is super nice. So it's actually a plate on there. It's not direct RMR. Unfortunately, you wouldn't be able to do that with the profile of the slide. So you have to use a plate unless you want to go with like the RMR C or something, the mini one. And I wanted a full size RMR on this thing. So we used the plate on there, lock up and matching this plate and fitting this plate to this slide. Phenomenal job again. It just turned out so daggone good. And now I was like, well, we need to get some irons on it, but they need to be like suppressor height so I can co-witness the dot. But they also need to kind of look semi-original too in 1911. So they took these and they manufactured and fabbed these guys up. These iron sights, especially the rear one, it looks period correct. It's perfect. And then the front blade, they cut that to make it look a little bit more like a blade. It's just awesome. Now I was like, okay, I don't think I've ever had a ported 45. I've had ported and comped 9mm, but I wonder what 45 would shoot like if we ported this thing. So they dropped 6 ports on this bad Larry. 6 ports. And I gotta say, 45 is not like a stiff recoiling pistol, but it is definitely producing more recoil than your typical 9mm is. You can definitely feel it. And I think especially, it's not necessarily recoil control, but I think it's just like my splits suffer because I guess, well, yeah, I guess that would be recoil control. When I'm shooting, it's a little bit more difficult to get that dot back down to where I've been shooting at. You know, if I'm looking for all upper thoracic A-zone hits, it takes me just a little bit longer. And sometimes my splits suffer from that. But when you port this thing, it genuinely feels like, the best way to describe it would be shooting super spicy 9mm. So if you shoot like a SIG P365 or maybe like a Glock 19, something more of a, not a micro compact, but like a subcompact kind of pistol with plus P 9mm, that's what it feels like. And all of this steel on this gun, it returns to zero so nice, and it's just, it's such a dream to shoot. Like you expect 45 to kind of, you know, work you just a little bit, but when you put the ports on this thing, it's a night and day difference. And it is a phenomenal addition to this. And we were able to utilize the original barrel that was actually in this. And we'll get to that too. So I was like, okay, what do we need next for your combat kind of pistol? If this pistol were to make it to World War III, or if this pistol were to be carried today, what would it look like? Well, we gotta have a weapon mounted light on it. seeing in the dark is kind of a superpower. Wouldn't wouldn't you agree? So we're like, okay, how do we get one on there, but do it tastefully and look like it was original? Because if you look at the frames on pistols that actually have a slot for a weapon mounted light, well, it's made into the actual frame. Well, Lion Claw Tactical and North Sea Machine, they actually took a piece of Picatinny rail, a steel piece of Picatinny rail, and welded it to the sides, grinded it down and fitted it, and then Cerakoted over top of it. It looks phenomenal. It looks like it should have been there, especially once you get a light on there. It's just like, how is that attached? Are you serious? It looks so good, and they did such a great job with it. It's just, it's phenomenal. It's really, really good machine work. So yeah, I'm going to plug the Homie Small Business any chance I possibly can. So if you guys need work done by them, for sure hit them up. Lion Claw Tactical, North Sea Machine. This is their Instagram links here. Hit them up if you guys need anything. They don't work on just 1911s. Basically any sort of pistol, they can get it done for you. So you got to check them out. They're good dudes, small business, growing. I'm always going to support the Homie Small Business any chance I get. Now, how does it shoot? Yeah, this thing is just such a pleasure to shoot. Now, here's the thing, like, yeah, it's 45. You're thinking like, oh, 7 + 1, right? Well, not necessarily, no. So Chip McCormick, I use Chip McCormick RPM mags for this. You get 10 rounds plus 1 in the chamber. So now you have 11 rounds of 45 ACP with this gun, and not gonna lie, like, that's kind of a lethal weapon. Like, 11 rounds, yeah, of course it's not 18 rounds like a Glock or whatever, you know, your typical 9mm is, but hey, 11 rounds, that's not too bad. That's it's a pretty fair amount, and I would consider that to be not necessarily a liability. Now, I want to talk about the gas pedal here on the Surefire piece. Every time I post this gun, or every time I post a gun, people ask about small itty bitty little details, and I figured I would just get ahead of the curve. So this thing here comes from White Wolf Concepts. White Wolf Concepts. This right here is absolutely the coolest mod I have ever done.
So with this gas pedal here, this is a little different than like your traditional gas pedal. A lot of them, what they'll do is they'll utilize the actual slide stop. And I personally don't like that because it doesn't feel as natural as getting my hands further down on the gun. So typically with like 2011s and 1911s, or even Glocks, even all of your striker fired guns, you're gonna ride your support thumb right here on the frame of the pistol. Again, whether if it's a Glock or a 1911 or 2011, always I've ridden them right here. In fact, a lot of my other pistols, I put a piece of skateboard tape right here for a little extra traction to put some downward force on it. But this thing right here, it's like, it is the most simple and easiest thing ever, but it makes the most sense. Like, it's the most tasteful upgrade I have bought in I don't even know how long. Instead of riding it here, you put your thumb right there. It's got a nice serrated edge right there, so you get a little extra grip, and you can get so much more downforce on this pistol. So when you're talking about like speed shooting and things like that, and when you're shooting super fast, dynamic shooting, it's so much easier to get that index point of this giant ledge right here than trying to find it right there on your frame. So I present the pistol, I put it out, and it's just so simple to keep that gun down with just that thumb right there. I can control this entire gun with just my support side. If somebody was pulling the trigger from the other side, I have so much more support over this gun than if I had to grip it right here at the frame. It's awesome.
So I gotta be honest with you, this is probably my most favorite mod that I've ever done, and it is super cheap and super simple. I have used this on every single one of my guns now since discovering this. I actually seen him post something on a random Facebook group, and I was like, oh, that's a pretty cool idea. I'll give that business a shot. I think he was just starting out, and now the company's really getting big. So take a look at those guys, man. Awesome dudes, super cool dude, down to earth, and a really good machinist. I really like it. That is an awesome little mod. Now, some of you may ask, why do you do it, baby Billy? Well, it's because I'm selfless. No, this is so much fun. Taking these old firearms that, have been ruined by somebody else and are never going to be original again, and making them my own. Making them a gun that I would actually use. Because here's the thing, these 1911 A1s, they are a dime a dozen. Well, they're not really a dime a dozen, but they are available right now through the CMP. Like, you can go sign up and grab this thing, 4 of them right now. You can go sign up and get 4 of these things right now. So they're not rare. They're not hard to find. There's no need to fret about it. This gun was destined, well, to be nothing but a disgusting, ugly, scratched up, nickel finished 1911. And we made this thing relevant again. We made this thing super fun. And I'm not going to lie, the amount of smiles that I get from people when they see this at the range, the amount of smiles that I get when you post this on the internet and people just like, man, that thing is so sweet. Well done, tastefully done. It's just, that's what makes it worth it, man. That's really what makes it worth it. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have a wrap on the World War III winning 1911. Guys, I appreciate you guys tuning in here, and I really appreciate the support. Guys, we are approaching 1 million subscribers here, and we're going to be there very, very soon, and there's going to be some massive giveaways. So, you have to stay tuned. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share this. We're going to blow this thing up once we get to 1 million. There's going to be massive, massive giveaways. So, you have to stay tuned for that. And gentlemen and ladies, as always, run your gun, not your mouth. We'll catch you next time.